Hello YouTube, it's Commander Nerd, and it is technically my third video today for Comic Con. I am here with my brother Nerd, aka Scott, and we are going to do a WWE video, which we haven't done before, which I'm kind of glad we are now. We're going to do a top 10 favorite wrestlers. I did one a while ago, but I didn't like how it came out, so I decided to redo it. So I will let the guests start. We will go from 10 to 1. So
I am going to apologize now. There are going to be parts where I am staring off into the distance, off camera. I am attempting to upload and edit the video that we just shot on my channel while we shoot this one. Because I just got word that Jason David Frank and I honestly don't know their names, but Bulk and Skull from the original Power Rangers are down at a bar in our hotel, and if I shoot this video and we get it up, I'm going to drag him down to the bar so we can at least get a glimpse of Jason David Frank.
yeah,
So, so number 10
yes,
out of my top 10 favorite
of all time.
of all time. I gotta keep him in the top 10, and it's so hard to list. I know who's number one for me, and I have a funny feeling Andrew will know who's number one for me. I gotta say, oh man, it's funny because there's certain guys I want much higher, but I get more entertainment value out of other guys. So it's really hard to decide who would be in. Oh my god. Let's start with number 10 as Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He was just so charismatic and entertaining,
Yeah,
but he was never one of my super like, that's the reason why I'm watching it, but I could always appreciate his matches, and that's why he is in my top 10.
yeah. All right, 10 for me would be William Regal. Growing up, as a kid, I didn't like him, but looking back at him, he was a really good wrestler for what he did in WCW and WWE, and well, back then F. What's sad is he didn't feel he was in WWE, that until he got started wearing the robes he was wearing down, that he felt he got to where he needed to be. But I just thought he was a great wrestler.
It's because he was massively underutilized.
Yeah.
He's an extremely good wrestler. They didn't use him properly for a long time. They just used him as a heel or a thump man or whatever you want to call it. I can see William Regal, but I will admit he is not in my top 10. Number 9. I gotta go with I know there's a chunk of them, and I'm trying because I know they're much higher, and I'm trying to figure out where they land in that list. It's 6 through 10 is the hardest to do without making it sound like, because there's hundreds of wrestlers. That's the thing I have to keep remembering. These are just my top 10 favorite. I gotta say number 9 is Scott Hall. More as Razor Ramon than Scott Hall. Like Razor, he was pretty rough as Razor Ramon, drug wise and alcohol wise, but he was bad as Scott Hall.
Yeah,
but he was thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah,
and that's what I base most of my stuff off of for top 10. That's what I'm basing it off of. What I would watch. Like, I wouldn't change the channel.
Yeah.
I would watch their matches. So I would say Scott Hall is number 9.
Number 9 for me. I would like him to be a little bit higher on my list, but I'm going to have to say Damien Sandow. He does entertain me, but he's not like one of those like, yeah, when he's on the TV, I'll watch him, but he's not one that I have to constantly like stop and watch. Um, I didn't really start liking him until he was Mrs. Stunt Double. That's where I think he really um, kind of got his like footing, but obviously WWE didn't really use him to his full potential.
I noticed that a lot with your list so far.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, that's number 9 for me. So
Number 8 for me. I mean, I'll admit a lot of these guys are not going to be current superstars. The current superstars I don't watch it enough to be like, oh, I really like that guy as a wrestler. Number 9. What am I on? 8.
8.
8 for me. Let's give me a second. Okay, I got 2 spots I can fill with people that I would go with. I would say probably he's a tool right now, but I'm gonna say Jericho.
Yeah.
He's been around for so long. He's there to boost up Kevin Owens. Let's be realistic. Like, people like Kevin Owens, but with Jericho next to him and in his corner, it raises his
Credibility.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say Jericho is number 8 for me.
Yeah. Number 8 for me is going to be Roddy Piper. I didn't really get introduced to Piper until, well, you were watching WCW before me, right? Or did we watch it?
I will
around the
not
same
lie,
time?
WCW was my go-to
Yeah.
in the Monday Night Wars. But that was, by the time I jumped into WCW, all those WWF
Yeah.
characters had jumped ship.
But yeah, I didn't get introduced to Piper until like we were watching WCW, and that's what introduced me to him. Same to a lot of other wrestlers that are probably going to be on the list as well. But Piper, I wouldn't say it was underutilized, but I'm surprised he never won a world championship.
I'm not. He was very vocal, and he wasn't afraid to say his mind. He was a Stone Cold-esque backstage guy when it wasn't good to be a Stone Cold-esque guy.
Okay.
He opened his mouth a lot. He spoke his mind, and they didn't necessarily like it.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason
Yeah.
that I think he never won a world title.
But at least he was an IC champion.
Yes.
So number 7 for you.
This is gotta be another filler because I know from 6 up. Let's make it a good one. I'm gonna say Edge.
Yeah, I can see that.
Over the years, watching him progress to the world champion that he was amazing. I can say, and I rub it in Andrew's face all the time, I can't say that I knew. No one knew. No one knew.
Nope.
I saw Edge's last match at that WrestleMania, and it was awesome. And I rub it in his face all the time.
I would have gone if I wasn't graduating that year. But
Excuses.
number 7 for me would have to be Mick Foley. Just for
I should have thought of that.
just for everything he put his body through to entertain literally everyone is just amazing to me that he would go through all the pain with everything he's done, because he even said constantly whenever he lifts his arms they crack, and it's like he was supposed to return to have a feud with Dean Ambrose while he was in NXT, and they're pretty much like, if you were to wrestle, your bones would just crumble.
He's basically made of glass now.
Yeah.
Like,
It's good to see
you
him.
can see it when he walks just through
Yeah.
the ring. Like, it's rough watching him walk.
Yeah, well, it's not as bad as it was because he's doing DDP yoga now, but it's still bad.
Yeah.
But it is good to see him on Raw as like the general manager. Kind of reminds me of when he was like the commissioner in 2000,
Yeah.
except without the short hair. So number 6 for you.
I really want to pick Mick Foley on there, but I have so many other people I want to put on my list. I'm going to say Triple H. He came a long way from being the pompous ass that they made him to be at first as Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah.
He helps run the company now, and I mean there are stories that they could do without. Like there are some of them that just suck ass.
Yeah.
But he's doing a very good job.
I mean, look at what he's done with NXT.
Yeah, exactly. He knows the business so well.
Yeah. So number 6 for me would have to be Shawn Michaels. For me, the Michaels that I liked was when he came back in 2002 to like his final long run. That Shawn Michaels was just, he always put on great matches from when he came back in 2002 till like 2010 with his last match with Undertaker. It seemed like he never lost a beat when he injured his back. And I really hope the Rumble match with him and Styles happens. It's up in the air. It's in Michael's court, essentially. Seeing he is the head coach of the Performance Center now, there might be a higher chance, but just take it with a grain of salt.
So 5 for you.
I'm gonna go. I had other people in there. Oh, motherfucker. You are right. I gotta put Shawn Michaels in there, but I'm going to put him in front of a couple people, and that's just my own opinion. He just outperforms them. Honestly, he should be number 1, but I'm not putting him number 1. I'm going to put, what is this? My 5?
Yes.
I'm going to put Taker.
Okay.
Putting Undertaker. If we were talking about 3 years ago Undertaker, and he stopped after his match with Triple H, and they walked off into the sunset, he'd be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But since he's gotten older and he's still pushing it,
Yeah.
he should have left the streak alone.
Yeah.
He dropped on my list, but he is in my list.
Yeah. So 5 for me is, I mentioned him literally just a second ago, is AJ Styles. I got introduced to him in TNA. I actually went to 2 TNA events, one in Cohasset and the one in Florida for a taping. And Styles is pretty much, well, besides Dolph Ziggler, which I call him Dolph Michaels, is essentially kind of the new Shawn Michaels. Is he pulls out so many different stuff in his matches. It's just great. And seeing how fast he got to be world champion now in WWE is something I thought I'd never see.
It's in his contract.
Probably, but still. Like,
They probably, and I'm not saying anything against it, but they probably guaranteed a
yeah.
title.
Well, Vince was thinking he was going to be more mid-card.
That's why Vince doesn't have control of who goes where.
That's true.
Vince, there's certain times where Vince was not good at those calls,
Yeah.
ever.
But, yeah, AJ Styles is number 5 for me. So, 4 for you.
4, I gotta say Piper. And that's partially because I met Piper
Yeah.
before he died. It was at the same WrestleMania as I saw Edge's last match.
Yeah.
It was awesome. He was a nice guy. He was very nice.
Yeah.
But I was just always so entertained by him.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so high on my list.
So we're on 4?
That was my 4, yes.
Okay. 4th for me is gonna be. It's gonna be Sting. I always liked Sting because I was a WCW kid. I was more Crow Sting growing up because that was when I was.
He was Crow Sting. It's when he came in. I
Yeah.
was colored face paint Sting.
Yeah, I always liked Crow Sting. Obviously, he was kind of WCW's Undertaker, just not dead. And ripping off the Crow at the same time. But I always liked Sting. I always thought he was great. I still think it was the wrong call to have him lose at Mania, but I understand
I think
why.
he should have held the title.
I do too, but unfortunately he can't wrestle anymore.
It's not his fault for Seth Rollins being a dink.
Yeah.
I don't think Seth Rollins did it on purpose, but if I'm wrestling someone that's almost twice my age, I'm not gonna fucking turnbuckle power bomb him
Yeah.
into the goddamn turnbuckle.
Well, even the thing with Finn Balor, too. But Finn Balor put his arm out, but still.
Does he do that move anymore?
I haven't seen it recently.
Exactly my point.
So, 3.
Also, don't leave hate for us, like complaining, saying Rollins hurt those people.
Oh,
Cause
no, he did.
he did. There's no ifs, ands,
You
or
can
buts.
leave hate all you want. I'm right and you're wrong. I don't think he did it on purpose. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
But it's a stupid move
Yeah,
to do to someone that's getting the title,
Yeah.
that's supposed to run with it.
yeah. Because he was supposed to go into a feud with Kevin Owens. And it was supposed to go until Mania, which I think would have been fantastic. Because they had a great feud in NXT, and they would have had a great feud leading up to Mania. But
So anyways,
anyway, sorry about that.
Rant. 3.
3 would be the man that we are meeting either tomorrow or Saturday. The 16-time, 2-time WWE Hall of Fame inductee, one of the original 4 Horsemen, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair,
Yeah.
is my number 3 because he can't be my number 1 and he can't be my number 2. That's as high as I'm letting him get.
Fair enough.
But I was always entertained. I could never change the channel when he's on.
Yeah.
Ever. I still watch some of his promos.
Yeah.
They're so funny.
Especially when he would go, "Hey, shut up, fat boy."
Yeah, I used to love in the matches, obviously. Wrestling's fake. I know.
Yeah.
But I love when he would get back up, get ready to fight, and then fall on his face.
Yeah.
Like, it was typical Flair. But
So 3 for me is going to be Kane. I always liked Kane a little bit more than Undertaker when I was watching WWF. That's because it was Biker Undertaker at the time. Kane was awesome when I was growing up, but over time, yeah, he still was great to me, but they dumbed him down a lot. Although I still love when he took the mask off and was going with that kind of psychotic kind of role, but I think it should have gone on a little bit longer than it did. So, number 2 for you.
people are going to call me an idiot for choosing this guy as number 2. But he was so technically sound in his wrestling that I have to put him above Flair. He is by far one of my personal favorites in any category. Arn Anderson. I've met him twice. He's very friendly. I mean, if you're retired and have a lot of money, I'd be fucking friendly too. But I just was always I could never stop watching the screen when he's on because he would control anything that was going on in the ring. He was so technically sound. Like, you could just see it in his moves.
Yeah.
And especially his spine buster.
Yep.
Like, that was my favorite move of Arn Anderson's. Was his spine buster.
And I don't think anybody does it as good as that.
Triple H gets close.
Anderson, yeah.
But Arn Anderson's spine buster is the best spine buster, in my own opinion.
So, number 2 for me is going to be... I'm going to say Owen Hart. Owen Hart was, well, similar to the other ones. He was very underutilized. I honestly think I like Brett, but I liked Owen a little bit more. I feel Owen was, well, I can't really say he's a better wrestler because technically Brett is, but I like Owen's matches better.
Owen would have. I think if Owen was still alive, he would have far surpassed what Brett did. Not to say it was because Brett was retired.
Yeah.
But I think technically he could have surpassed him.
Yeah. It's sad that he never got a world title run. They were thinking of doing it at the 94 Survivor Series when they had the cage match. They did promos of it, but for some reason apparently he didn't fit right with the title. But he was one of the best Intercontinental Champions of the time. Minus the time he tombstoned Austin, but still. So, number 1 for you.
I want you to remember, this is top 10. Obviously, I couldn't get every one of my favorite wrestlers in there. The top 10. It was really hard to choose. Because there's people that I'm thinking of honorable mentions. Like, honorable mention. This will dwindle it down for Andrew because he'll figure it out by the time I finish this honorable mention. I can give you 5 honorable mentions. Stone Cold Steve Austin is an honorable mention. He is very close to the top 10. But that's just because I have a lot of older wrestlers that I like over Attitude Era. I mean, I love Stone Cold Steve Austin, don't get me wrong. But everyone else in that, like, if I had to switch people out, I'd say I would switch Stone Cold with Edge and The Rock with Jericho. But I didn't want it to be the stereotypical, these are my favorite. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, they're all name guys.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I picked a lot of name guys, but it wasn't typical ones that you would figure. Stone Cold, The Rock. I was fighting the urge. I really wanted to put Dean Malenko in there because he's the same way that I look at Arn Anderson. He was just so meticulous and he was awesome. I used to really like watching Ultimo Dragon in WCW.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
And and to go along with Scott Hall, I really used to like watch Kevin Nash, but when it was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash together, not just
as like the outsiders.
Yeah, when they were together, it just flowed so well. So I'm going to give Andrew a quick opportunity to figure out who my favorite wrestler is.
Goldberg.
Yeah, it is Bill Goldberg. And I was a WCW guy. I saw him from the beginning. I watched every one of his matches. I watched when he lost. I watched when he won the title for the first time against Hulk Hogan. And blah, blah, blah. I was watching it live when he picked up the Giant and the Jackhammer.
Yeah.
So that is my favorite wrestler of all time. And that would probably be for any list. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you can have a favorite wrestler. It's not going to be my favorite wrestler. Because I know it's not Andrew's favorite wrestler.
I mean, I like Goldberg. But
No, I know.
Yeah. So, my number 1, which won't be a surprise to you, is Undertaker.
Yeah.
Because looking back at his history, he's changed his character so drastically from over time, especially when he was Ministry of Darkness Undertaker, because that was a big departure.
Yeah.
Well, no, the big departure was Biker
Taker.
But
going from the Dead Man to the Biker Taker.
Yeah.
That was a huge jump.
Yeah. And the sad thing is he was really overweight when the American Badass Taker started.
Yeah, he was fat.
he was.
You could see it.
He was somewhat, well, not somewhat. He was a little bit sloppy when he came back, but over time he slimmed down and got in better shape. Honestly, the best shape he was in was when he was in the Ministry of Darkness. That was when I think he was in the best shape of his career.
I think that was his best run.
Yeah.
Besides when he first started.
Yeah. But, like, he was a character that could have, like, majorly failed. Because the way he was built up was he was unstoppable. And he was technically supposed to be fed to Hulk Hogan and just dwindle out. But the fans gravitated towards him because he was different. And I don't think anyone would have been able to pull it off as well as Mark Calloway did.
Nope. I completely agree with you.
And that's why WWE honor him so much, is because he is one of the top wrestlers that in the Monday Night Wars, he never jumped ship. He never went to WCW because WCW said he would be worth nothing. Same with
That's the same way that Sting looked at it
Yeah.
when everyone had to go WWF. He
Yeah.
was like, I'm not coming.
Yeah. But, yeah, other than that, this has pretty much been our top 10 favorite WWE/WCW wrestlers. Obviously, I don't have my belt with me, so obviously you'll have to get over that. Any closing things you want to talk about?
Nope, I pretty much got my gist out. I mean, like I said before, it's just a top 10.
Yeah.
I have a lot more wrestlers that I liked. I just couldn't name them all.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, it was hard. Like, I could switch people in and out all day. My top 4, I would never move.
Yeah.
Maybe even top 5, I probably wouldn't move. But I could probably move the back 6, the back 5.
Yeah.
Like I said before, like that was the hard part, was finding the other 5
Yeah.
out of all of the wrestlers that I like. That was the hardest part.
Yeah. But other than that, this is pretty much what we like for wrestlers. I will do another discussion on the current situation in WWE right now. I think SmackDown is a better show right now, but I'll talk about that later. And I don't want to see Goldberg versus Lesnar 2, but that's just me.
I mean, it's going to be a shitty match.
Yeah.
The first one, I liked the first one, but that was because Lesnar was on his way out, Goldberg was on his way out, and they were letting Goldberg beat the shit out of Lesnar.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Like, Goldberg has a better moveset than Lesnar.
Yeah.
The downside
Especially
is now that
nowadays.
Lesnar's so bulky, he doesn't do anything besides the suplex.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, if they really let Lesnar win, he's just going to suplex the crap out of him,
Yeah.
F5 him a few times, he's going to get hit with a couple things, and then he's going to end up winning.
Yeah.
Whoever is being paid more is going to win.
Yeah.
And supposedly, this is Goldberg's only match.
Yeah.
Supposedly. I don't believe it.
Yeah, he might have another match at Mania.
Yeah, like, I don't believe the fact that this is going to be his only match.
Yeah. But other than that, I will catch you tomorrow for a vlog before I go to Comic-Con, and I will do a vlog after the night. Other than that, I will catch you next time, YouTube.